let's see how long this live lasts for, because I'm furious. I am so angry. I am so angry. Hi, JJ. Good to see you. I am so annoyed. So annoyed. We're going to talk about Henry Novak. We're going to talk about the things that we've seen from white people this week regarding actual racism and what they think racism is. This is the topic today. White people don't care about Henry Novak. They are just begging to erase real racism. It's absolutely disgusting what they're doing at the moment. Disgusting. They don't give a shit about Henry Novak. Not one bit. They don't care about Henry Novak. They care about erasing racism and pretending that they're experiencing racism. We've been hearing this so much over the last few weeks. I'm experiencing real racism. Oh, tell me what that looks like then, white people. Tell me, white person, what does racism look like? Like, tell us this racism that you're experiencing. Go on. And they can't explain it. And now they're trying to say, and this is what they do. As soon as there's another person of another color involved in a situation, that has to be racism, right? Because it's just that simple. It's just that easy. And they wouldn't have cared about Henry, not one bit, if it wasn't a brown guy who was the perpetrator. They wouldn't have cared one bit. Now they have to question everything to do with Sikhism, because in their mind, they think that Sikhs and Muslims are the same people. This is what they think. Sikhs and Muslims must be the same people. They're the same, right? Because all brown people are the same. Sikhs don't even have a history of this kind of incidents. Sikhs do not have this kind of history, but now all of a sudden it's, we have to do. Jules, good to see you. I need to follow you. I really like your content, Jules. And I saw your video this morning. I don't know if you saw my comment about it, about George Floyd being mentioned. You were the first person who actually brought that to my timeline. And that's why I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. For those of you who don't know, there is a guy who I can't even remember. Jules, if you want to come up, please do. Who is literally got on one knee this morning. For Black Lives Matter, we got on one knee for our fallen brothers and sisters under white narcissism. And white people steal everything. White people steal everything. Even now our knee. You guys hated the knee. Oh, thank you, Peter Blexley. You guys hated the knee. You hated the knee. I can't even talk today. And normally I can speak, but I'm so angry today. You hated the knee. You didn't want to take the knee for us in the face of racism. And now it's okay. You want to take the knee for someone else because now you think you're experiencing racism. You can't even come up with your own shit. This is what white people do. They steal everything, including our tributes to our people. You don't care about Henry Novak. You care that he was unalived by a brown guy. That's what you care about. Ridiculous. You have to remember that this unaliving of Henry happened in December last year, okay? December last year. You've had quite a bit of time to figure out if you actually cared about this guy who was unalived. And now all of a sudden, because now you think, oh, hold on a minute. Hi, Hannah, my real life friend. You think, oh, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to be annoyed because it's a brown guy. And guess what? He's wearing a turban. Oh, yeah, guys. Yeah, that's it. Because I'm desperate to play the race card. You are desperate to play the race card. This is you, okay? This is you. Let me make it very clear to you, especially Deco and everybody else. It was not okay what happened to Henry Nowak. It was terrible what happened to him. It shouldn't have happened. It was a miscarriage of justice what happened to him. Okay? The police should have been better and they weren't. My issue is with you people. You people are the ones who keep getting fucked up by all of this stuff. The police did wrong. They did wrong. Harry, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. This is the thing with you people. Yes, I say you people, because you're so desperate to hold on to racism. You don't care what happened to Henry. You don't care. You don't care what happened to him. You only care now because it was proven that, what's his name? The guy who, Digwa, used the race card, apparently. He said that something racist was said to him. And it was erased. Things have come out to say, actually, he didn't say that. So now you're like, right, we got him now. Yeah. Now we can say that we're experiencing racism. You're going to take this one guy, one crime, and say this whole situation is racism now. And you're going to ignore all of the racism that we've been talking about for centuries since you white people stepped onto our lands and created race and racism. So let me tell you exactly what happened to Henry. Henry was an 18-year-old university student who was unalived by Vikram Digwa on the 3rd of December 2025. Okay? Shortly before he was unalived by Digwa, Nowak had filmed Digwa during a verbal altercation. Okay, so they're already arguing. Digwa had maintained he had acted in self-defense after Novak allegedly made racist remarks and punched him. Prosecutors argued that these allegations were baseless and fabricated in an attempt to justify the unaliving. There were two people there, Digwa, who was obviously going to talk about what he experienced, and of course Novak, who is no longer alive to give testimony. So those are the only two people who actually can tell the truth about the situation, or their version of truth, okay? There was some footage that was shown, taken by Novak. In this footage, he is heard being saying, "Hello, car." And I don't know why he would say that. Why would he say, "Hello, car"? What does that even mean? Why would he say that? And singing to himself shortly before yawning, after which the footage showed Digwa walking away. Novak was then saying, "In it, bad man. What bad man? You're a bad man. Say you're a bad man. Go on." Antagonizing Digwa. And response, Digwa said, "I am a bad man." With Nowak then saying, "Are you a but?" before the footage ends. So isn't it interesting that the footage that's actually been released is very spotty? It's not full footage. Why is it bits and pieces here and there? Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. There is, from what I can read from the case, okay? Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely edited. Absolutely edited. Nobody is going to contest that the boy should not have been unalived, okay? He was pokeyed 5 times. That tells you something. 5 times, okay? So there is some kind of fury or some kind of intent or some kind of self-defense there from Digwa. Absolutely. And he unalived somebody. Absolutely. He needs to be in prison for that, okay? If you unalive someone, you go to prison. That's law. The issues are around the case. And the fact that white people, like I say, you're weaponizing it now. You're politicizing his unalivement. You are politicizing it. You should just be like, "Oh my God, this is absolutely tragic. This happened on British streets. We hope the Polish community," because he's Polish, by the way. He's Polish. He's not English. He's Polish. He's Polish. But no, he's a Brit. He's a Brit. You were trying to get the Polish out of the country. When? When were you trying to get the Polish out of the country? When? When you voted Brexit, you said, "We don't want any Polish here anymore." You wanted people like Henry Novak to get out of the country. I always remind you. You didn't want people like him in the country. Sandra, I have more respect for Henry Novak than you do. I'm highlighting to you your hypocrisy. He should not have been alive. I've said he needs to have his justice. He's had his justice in the fact that Digwa is in prison. He's had his day in court. He's had all of this stuff. But now you're like, "Oh, racism is happening to us. We're already being genocided. Now look, they got another one of us." You are absolutely trying to take away the religion of Sikhism. You have never heard anybody in the history of Sikhism unaliving somebody with their kirpan. You've never heard of it, ever. We've heard about thousands of crimes that you people have done for centuries. And you're still doing it. You're still doing it. You still carry your pew-pew. You still carry your pokey-pokey. You want to unalive each other and us. You people, I will say it again, you people, because guess what? We learned those phrases from you people. You suffer from cognitive dissonance. You don't understand the behavior that you do is what I reflect back to you. I reflect back to you your hypocrisy. Thank you. The Poles saved Europe from Ottoman's empire. They're good Europeans. I stand up for the Eastern Europeans all day. All day. If you think I'm shouting no name, turn the volume down. On my page, you can check my pinned posts. I'm always talking about how much I love the Eastern Europeans. I've been to Eastern Europe many times. I've been to 54 countries many times. Go on my page. I'm not performative like you lot. I love the Eastern Europeans. And like I say, I remind them that you don't like them. The Polish even came to what? Help the Haitians. When it actually come to freeing enslaved Africans in Haiti, who did it? It was the Polish. It was not the English. It was not the British. It was not you lot. It was the Polish. It was the Polish. And now you want to pretend to care about Henry Novak only because you see him as white, not because you see him as Polish, because you're so desperate. You are very, 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 very desperate. Christian Brotherhood. The fact you're talking about why you're bringing up old history. You're literally called Christian Brotherhood. You're literally called Christian Brotherhood. And I am the one who's bringing up old history. You can't even read your name. You can't even read your own name. Those of you who are now playing the race card in the comment section, you look pathetic. You look embarrassing. You should be embarrassed for yourself, truly. You should be embarrassed because, again, none of you were talking about Henry Novak until we were talking about Yves Sakila. We were talking about real systemic racism, that he was unalived in public, in the street. And we still have not got any justice. There have been no arrests for him, none whatsoever. And in our comment sections, when we're talking about Yves Sakila, you're like, what about Henry? What about Henry? We've never even heard of Henry. You go over there and you talk about Henry over there. Talk about him over there. If you're bothered about this situation and it hurts you, you talk over there. Why are you trying to erase what's happening to our people constantly? And now you're taking the goddamn knee saying this is a George Floyd. You sound stupid. You sound stupid. You sound uneducated. You sound ridiculous. You sound absolutely ridiculous. Right, we're going to let some of these fools come up here now. We're going to let some of these fools and let's hear what they actually had to say. What do they have to say?
I'm a fool.
I didn't say you're a fool. I said some of these fools. If you think you're a fool, okay. Season 1, episode 2. What do you have to add regarding this subject?
I'm just curious. You talk about like white people wouldn't take the knee and white people don't back up black people when it comes to racism. But I think I just heard come from your mouth like you people committed these crimes for thousands of years. Like, I'm just wondering who you meant by you people.
You know who I'm talking about, you people. I've literally just been sitting here talking for 5 minutes. You know
people
who I'm talking about.
People is plural for a person, so like there's one person.
Can I ask,
and then people
if we're here to talk, I need to know who you're referencing.
No, I've said it very clearly. If
so
you don't understand,
if
you don't understand the subject matter, season 1 episode,
people,
then you should.
You mean white people?
What does that say? It says white people in white writing very clearly.
So
I've
then
said
is
you
that
people.
not a racist claim?
What does it nextly say?
You're judging white people off the actions of other white people.
Read the prompt, season 1 episode 1. Read the prompt.
White people don't care about Henry Novak.
Yes, read the rest of it.
They are just begging to erase real racism. What about him? Like, yeah, we've clarified. You meant white people now, okay?
We haven't clarified anything.
You just
don't have the ability to read, and your intelligence level is too low for this conversation. Okay, I've dropped you. We don't have time for this nonsense here. We, black people, are really trying to fight systemic racism every single day. Every day. We have our existences erased. We have our experiences erased every single goddamn day. And you have stupid people like you who can't even read a prompt, first of all, and you want to come up here and try to think that you're actually involved in this conversation. And the way that you in the comment section, you people are like Black fatigue. Why are you shouting? Because you don't have anything else to add to this conversation. You are at the end of your existence. You are at the end. Let me tell you something. So we got B Hathaway. When was the last time I experienced racism? I don't live in the UK anymore. I don't live in Europe anymore. So when was the last time I experienced racism? When I was around you people. When I was around you people. My next door neighbour here is white and Scottish. I experienced racism from him saying the N-word around me twice. Twice. My white Scottish next door neighbour. Everybody else is of the local culture. You guys are constantly saying, hey, but you don't receive racism. And now you're trying to say you receive racism. You're very selective. Diego, how are you? Are any of my mods here this morning so far yet? I don't think so. Diego, how are you?
I'm good, Fox. How you doing?
The ancestors are in me today, furious. So there's that. There's that.
I can feel the fire. I can feel the fire, definitely. You know what's funny? I think what we commonly see in society and and sometimes on social media is because YT people have been manipulated to think that their history is made up of this fantastic type of stuff, and this whole exploration was to make the world better and civilize people and etc. They have never been able to develop their empathy. They have never been able to develop their compassion. And every time you challenge that particular perception of their history, they express YT fragility. So when you criticize or critique, even if it's fragmental, their history, they have this reaction, which is all YT people aren't racist, or who are you talking about, or are you talking about me? I've got a black best mate. I love black pudding. I've got black Air Forces. I've got a coloured TV. I've got 4 black tires on my car, and etc. Right, and that's really it. They haven't developed the skill of being able to empathize or have any form of criticism, because they truly believe that Great Britain is actually great. So whenever you put forth a contrasting perception or view, they don't know how to deal with it, and then they have a system malfunction, which then results in them spouting out racism or insults, or projecting their internal inferiority complex, their internal self-hatred, and etc. So that's usually what we see. We see YT fragility that happens where people are not used to being critiqued. They have been taught in education, they have been taught in the media that their history is brilliant, that their country is great, that they're this wonderful nation, and don't actually realize that it's completely the opposite of that.
Exactly. And this is the problem. When you get fed this lie, and when... You guys are narcissists. Like, you don't understand anything that Diogo says, anything that I say, because you're narcissists and you don't want to tie this to yourselves. You're narcissists. If the subject matter is negative to your perception of who you think you are, it causes you to crash out. You don't understand anything that we're talking about, and now you make yourselves the victims while trying to say that we're making ourselves victims. You are making yourself victims in this situation. Again, Duma's just displayed narcissism. We're the best. What the fuck is even that about? What does that even mean? This is what they do. They put themselves in the competition who is actually being the worst on this planet. We colonized the most people. We unalived the most people. We invaded the most countries. That makes you the best. You're ridiculous. You're absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous people. And this is exactly what it's about. It is exactly what Diogo has said. You don't understand that the lie that you've been sold is literally to your own detriment. You don't even want to wake up from that lie because it's too difficult for you to do so. You're quite comfortable living this lie. Cobra, you can't project onto us here, sir. You can't project onto any single one of us here, because we're strong enough. We know history. We've woken up. We are decolonizing our minds. You guys want to stay colonized. So let's go back to talking about Henry Novak. Like I said, you don't care about Henry Novak. Diego, can you give me some kind of perception you have around what people think about Henry Novak and Henry Novak's case, please? What are you seeing and what do you understand?
What we have to understand is we have to sorry, I just got a call mid sentence. Basically, as we know, racism is something that is measured through what is expressed, right? So what we have to do is we have to draw contrast to the principles of what people have an issue with. Okay, so when we see that there.
Diego, you keep cutting out. Is that another phone call or something? Yeah, Diego's on mute. I'm going to move to Fifi, then I'll come back to you, Diego. Fifi, how are you today?
Hi, Fox. How are you?
Yeah. As I said, the ancestors are in me and they're raging regarding this situation and the erasure of Yves Sakila. Fifi, what do you have to add?
Sorry, honestly. No, because all the time I'm just gonna say this. They don't care. They just want to project. And what I need them to realize is they need to stop writing this black fatigue because you're colonizing the word once again. Black fatigue is for black people. Black people wrote that in America. Black Americans wrote that about the fatigue of racism.
Yes.
Which means when you guys write black fatigue, I'm just going to agree and say yes, we're fatigue of all the racism, mate. You guys love colonizing words. Come be original. For once in your godforsaken life, can you guys be original?
They can't be
Just
original. That's the point. They can't be original. Everything that we come up with, and you're right to bring up the black fatigue, woke as well. You tried to take away what woke even means. Woke means to be awake to situations like this, to realize where the injustices are. So now you want to be woke because you're actually realizing what happened to Henry Novak was wrong. Now you're woke. Oh, you're only woke when it suits you. You only recognize racism when it suits you. When it suits you.
I genuinely feel so sorry for them at times.
No,
don't.
Don't feel sorry for them. Don't. They ain't felt sorry for us in one bit. Don't ever waste any of your emotions on them either, girl. Don't do it.
Because basically with us, with what white people need to realize, we black people actually do a longitudinal study to prove there is systemic racism. You man just react. You just react with your feelings. If you want to show that you're going through systemic racism, can you please do a longitudinal study, back it up with evidence, and show it to the government like what we did, the many fights that our civil rights people had to do in the UK to prove that we go through systemic racism. It's not our feelings. We don't just go out there. That's the reason why you lot don't see that black people are, progressing. That is the reason.
Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry, Cobra. We just have to learn that.
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna go, but please carry on.
Thank you. Cobra is now muted. Diego, back to you, please.
Yeah, my bad. I was getting a call. Basically, like I was saying, you have to understand that first of all, genetically, there's a compassionate block. Like I don't know what it is, but they seem to have some genetic block of being able to show compassion. This is why they was able to impact and inflict the levels of barbarity and severity that they have done and continue to do. What they portray is that they have an issue with, injustice. They have an issue with an individual, being knifed, or poked unalive, which is unfortunate. We do not, celebrate or rejoice in anybody's detriment because of course we're not white Europeans. However,
except for Seakirk,
what is interesting,
except for Seakirk or anyone of the fascist background, these ones,
right?
Hallelujah, goodbye. Okay. Carry on.
Yeah. Exactly. And also what we see is that, for example, it's like the rage and the purple vein that pops up in their neck when there is an individual who is convicted of, SMEX offences, and they talk about they want to keep the country safe, but then we don't see them protesting when the individual is of YT. We have to understand that these individuals are hypocrites. These are the same individuals who, will impose a severe and heavy penalty prison conviction on a young BLK teen, but then will give a PDF who was of YT origin a suspended sentence. So, you know, it's hypocrisy. That is essentially it. The whole situation is hypocrisy, and we have continued to see their hypocrisy for centuries. They have never changed. They have never paid back reparations for the barbarities that they imposed on our people, and we need to stop expecting a level of decency from people who are barbarians. They are literally barbarians.
Let's talk about the reparations for a minute. Remember, because they have paid reparations to who? White people.
Yeah,
Other
talk
white
about
people.
anything except Henry. Talk about anything except Henry. Keep going, narcissist.
You see what happens when white people talk? You see what happens when white people talk?
Yeah, it's just what it's YT fragility. You see, you know what YT people need to understand. If we're speaking false information, come up and intellectually debunk us and make us look so stupid. That would be better than for you to just, you know, allow your inbred, you know, voice to then start talking nonsense. Like, come up and actually say, you know what, you said this, I'm going to challenge that, and due to this reference of Exhibit A, Exhibit B is wrong. That would make you look more intelligent and intellectual. For you to come up and spout hatred, it just shows that you don't have the capacity or range for this conversation, and shows that you are executing and expressing YT fragility, sir.
That's exactly it. So I will continue talking, Benny, before you rudely interrupted me, because I'm going one person at a time. You've seen exactly how this panel is run.
No, you're not.
You've been
You're going
sitting
one
here.
person, then
You've been seeing exactly how this conversation is run. Diego was speaking earlier, but he got a phone call, so I went to Fifi. Now I've gone back to Diego so he can finish, and then I'll come to you next. Shut up. Be quiet, otherwise you'll get dropped. I'm explaining how it runs. If you don't like it, then you can go somewhere else, Benny. I'm explaining how this panel runs. Everybody else here can understand.
Henry,
everyone else can understand, but Benny, you've been dropped because you don't understand. Diego was talking first. Fifi went next because Diego had a phone call. I said I would come back to Diego. I've done that. Benny has literally displayed white fragility, like Diego has said, like we say constantly on this planet. They have a massive disrespect and they can't control their mouths. They cannot control their mouths. They display the narcissism we talk about. They don't want to actually listen to a conversation. They don't want to bring anything new and interesting. They don't want to respect the space. They don't want to respect themselves and respect other people also in this conversation. They can't do it. They can't do it.
I don't think English was Benny's first language. I think that's what it was.
Probably.
English was Benny's first language.
Probably. Right, we're going to go now to Samson Perry. Benny wants to try and come up and try again. The answer is no, Benny, because you don't even have the ability to sit and listen. This is a sitting and listening and a back and forth conversation. If you don't even have those basic communication skills, Benny, this place is not for you. I said yesterday about the Neanderthals coming up here. Benny, you are a Neanderthal. Go to your Neanderthal space. You'll feel more comfortable there. Go with the other Neanderthals. Then you can scream and you can unmute and you can chat whatever you want without being muted. Because that's how it runs over there. Here we have logic, order, and decorum. We're not compatible, Benny. Samson Perry. Are you there, Samson?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. So this is the topic today. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad.
Good. We're talking about Henry Novak. So if you don't know, the reason why this is the topic today is because we've literally been talking about Yves Sakila now since the 15th of May, who was unalived in public by security guards in Dublin, right? We've been talking about this.
Was he homeless?
Yes, he was the homeless guy, yes. Yeah, he didn't start that way, but he ended up homeless. That's quite irrelevant, actually, to what we're talking about. But he was unalived by 6 security guards, having his head by white security guards, and we're saying this is a racist incident, especially because nobody has been arrested for it. We've been talking about this, right? We've talking about this is similar to what happened to George Floyd in America. Oh my God, this has now happened in the Republic of Ireland. So now we've been talking about this and we've been trying to get justice. This situation with Henry Novak, like I say, is terrible that happened to him. It should not have happened to him. But it is white people who are weaponizing this and saying, this is our George Floyd. Come on, guys. We're going to have our own George Floyd now. We've got our own George Floyd. This means that we can say that this is racist again. weaponizing
Yeah.
situations and trying to erase what we're trying to do when it comes to actually black activism and having justice for black people. So what do you have to add to this, Samson?
Well, I'd like to question the Henry Novak prompt. And I was thinking, why can't people care about Henry Novak and also care about racism? Because those things, in my opinion, are mutually exclusive. You can.
Can you say that again?
I was
Because you
thinking,
just disappeared for a second. Could you say that again?
Why can't people care about Henry Novak and also care about racism?
Yeah, they
I
should.
don't understand.
They should. But white people don't have the
And
ability to do that.
you're suggesting that they don't.
No, because they're trying to say that the Henry Novak situation is a racist situation. And they're also starting to take the knee, right? What we were doing for black people, and they didn't want to do it back then for black people. They want to take the knee now because it's a white boy who's been unalived by a brown guy. They don't understand what racism is. That's the issue. That's the issue. I'm talking about these people here who don't understand it and they're begging to erase real racism. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So you're suggesting that nobody cares about him?
Who said that? Whoever said that?
Where does it say nobody?
It says okay, white people. My apologies.
Okay, so would you concede that there is more than one white person that doesn't care about Henry Novak?
Yeah, because some
And-
people don't
So
know.
then would it be
And-
fair, if that's the case, would it be fair to say that white people then don't care about Henry Novak?
No.
Would it be in plural, sir? By your own concession just now.
No, just because one doesn't mean all.
Well,
And listen,
contradicted
and
yourself.
one minute. Samson, did you not hear me? You've been up on this panel pretty much from the beginning. Have you not heard me say specifically about the case and that it was an injustice? How the police treated the case was an injustice. Did you hear me say that? Yes or no?
No.
You didn't hear me. I'm pretty sure you did. I think you're being a bit ignorant now, and you're trying to say that I don't care about Henry Novak. That's what I feel like is happening here. Because the thing is with
No,
black people is
you're
we have the
mistaken. I didn't-
ability.
I
Fine,
didn't
let me
really
say
say
clear.
that.
Let me say clearly to you. Then I'm going to talk to you right now, Samson.
Okay.
My issue with this is that white people don't care about Henry Novak. We have the ability to care about Henry Novak, and we would want to make sure that he actually gets real justice. The fact of the matter is he has received justice in a way so far, which is that his perpetrator has been arrested and is being sentenced. What we're now seeing in the injustice is how the police handled it. So we will also be on the side of that. Okay? We're not going to weaponize and say this is a racist situation. We're not going to be doing that because that's not what we see. That's what you see, and that's what you're trying to make it see. But at the same time, like I said, we have our own situation in Yves Sakila, who has not got a single bit of justice. So for me and people who are actual activists for racism, when we're talking about Yves Sakila, we're constantly getting people saying, what about Henry Novak? What about Henry Novak? We had not heard about Henry Novak because we're dealing with one of our own. And you only care about Henry Novak now because he's a white person killed by a brown person. That's the only reason why you care. Now, I used a lot of words there, Samson, and I don't know if you understood what I was trying to say. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
So are we done here?
Yeah.
Good.
Sure.
Thank you, Samson.
I'm just happy to listen.
Thank you so much. You can go to the comment section and listen down there. Thank you, Samson. Right, we've got Ren now. Ren, how are you, Ren?
I'm good. How are you, darling?
The ancestors are, they're telling me I need to talk about this. They're furious because of the erasure of Yves Sakila's name. So, after this conversation, I will be okay. My energy will calm down. I've also put my candles on and everything like that. So everything will be cool. But Ren, how are you?
I'm okay. White people don't care about Henry Novak. They just begin to erase racism. So first of all, I don't think these people know what racism is.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to things like unalivings, anybody of any race can unalive someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's about intent.
Yes.
Whether it's something that's racist is about intent a lot of the time. So a brown man or a BOK man unaliving a YT man, or like that in itself does not say anything about a racial motivation.
Yes.
Because anybody can unalive anybody. If I, as a BOK woman, unalive a YT woman simply because maybe she has something I wanted, and she wouldn't give it to me, so I unalived her. That wasn't racially motivated. I unalived her because she had something I wanted and wouldn't give it to me. That the unaliving someone in itself does not dictate racial intent. Historically, whenever YT people have been unalived by and brown people, it has not been racial in the least. But systematically for thousands of years, and now YT people have been unaliving BOK and brown people for racial reasons. The motivation is there. Simply unaliving somebody of a different race does not mean racism. The difference is intent, and the intent has always gone one way. And even if there was a case where the intent from the BOK person, the white person, was racial, that is not happening on a systematic level.
Right.
That is not happening to YT people as on the day to day. You're not experiencing that kind of hostility for black and brown people from day to day, because we're just trying to survive you guys.
Exactly.
We're just trying to leave you guys alone, trying to survive you, because we are actually experiencing this shit day to day. Not in extreme cases. We bring up George Floyd and all these other BOK people who have been unalived. They are also very extreme cases, but those extreme cases are a symptom of a wider problem, a systematic problem. And before it gets to that point, there are smaller things happening to BOK people as a collective, that when those big things happen, nothing gets done. Justice doesn't get done because it's become systematically and culturally acceptable to not give black and brown people justice when they are unalived. Because in the day to day, it is socially acceptable to be racist to BOK and brown people.
Exactly.
When a YT man is unalived, when a white man is unalived, that's the only thing, that those extreme cases are the only thing white people have to latch onto. We have more than the extreme cases to latch onto. We have the day-to-day systematic racism in systematic racism in education, child,
Boring.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on, Ren.
Don't even give that attention. Because,
carry on, Ren.
Because
carry
Ren
on,
was
Ren.
eating with no crumbs.
Carry on, Ren.
Medical healthcare, education. All these systems, these are day-to-day things that impact systematically black and brown people, in which white people constantly participate in, and it becomes culturally acceptable. So by the time we get to this point of black and brown people being unalived, it's already been socially acceptable to be racist to black and brown people and to not give a shit about black and brown, the harm that is caused to us on a day-to-day basis. But when it happens to you guys only have the extreme cases to latch onto, because in the day-to-day, you aren't experiencing shit. You literally benefit in the day-to-day. So you only have these extreme cases to latch onto. But in the day-to-day, all you're experiencing is hurt feelings, because black people are trying to survive you. I'm not buying into the BS that you was told, that you supposedly gave us quote unquote stability. Because stability.
I'm just gonna clap you, Ren. I'm gonna clap you, Ren, because you said so many things there, so many things, and you were literally talking in facts. And this is the difference between communicating with intellectual people and communicating with racists. Racists are low IQ. Ren has clearly said exactly what real racism looks like in terms of feeling and experience, talked about systemic racism and what that looks like for black and brown people, talked about how white people can't experience any of those things and have not experienced any of those things historically and presently. She explained those things very, very clearly. But yet, there are always going to be white people saying, oh, you must be lying. You can't say that. You're the racist instead, because you actually explain things very clearly. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous in this day and age that we still have to have these kind of conversations and have these kind of challenges towards our experiences every day.
I'm going to land my plane, but I just want to say, civil people do not go around and G-siding, don't go around colonizing countries and G-siding the people in those countries. Colonized people do not, civilized people do not go to other people's countries and take the resources. And Britain owes the Caribbean, all the countries colonized, trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in compensation for what what you guys did. Because that money that you guys earned from that your ancestors earned from slavery is partly what benefits the UK economy today.
In the comment section, just 1 minute, Ren. It's just because in the comment section, someone has said, Irish people who have experienced racism so bad, learn your history. Who did they experience that from? It wasn't black people. It wasn't brown people. It was other white people. So why are you bringing up white on white crime? Do you think that that's actually going to help your case? Is that going to help your case?
That's not
racism. That's not even racism.
That
exactly, it's xenophobia. It's not racism, bad girl, just because you say it's racism, bad girl. Bad girl, you are bad girl because you actually haven't read any history. You asked me to read history, but you've been a bad girl and not actually read history, like proper history, because there's not a single history book that will tell you that Irish people actually experienced racism. They won't tell you that. It's xenophobia and discrimination.
Can I say something on that point? This is something that we see often as well, where YT people always want to equate their struggle with BLK people. And this is something often we see by the Irish, because they'll say things like, there was no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. And that is to a certain extent true. However, what they seem to always miss out is, firstly, in order for you to distinguish a British man from an Irish man, you wouldn't be able to do so if they didn't speak. That's the first thing. So there's an old saying that people had during that time where they say to Irish people, don't open your mouth so they don't know you're Irish. However, you as a BLK person wouldn't be able to hide your BLKness. Secondly, when they were forced to be indentured servants in the Caribbean, which they were, they also miss out the slave code or the Barbados slave code 1661. And what the Barbados slave code of 1661 was, it was legislation that was drawn to distinguish the slavery and the servitude that was imposed upon the Irish and the slavery and servitude that was imposed upon the African, the BLK person. So what that meant is, as a BLK person, you were a slave, your son was a slave, your son's son was a slave, and your slavery was hereditary till the end of time. However, the Irish now, their servitude was 5 to 7 years, and their children were born free. Their children were born out of captivity. And what was also interesting, in a lot of Irish people then went on to establish their own communities in the Caribbean, which still exist to this day, and the vast majority of them also went on to become slave masters themselves. So they like to kind of equate often YT people, their struggle with BLK people's struggle, but they don't seem to know about the Barbados slave code of 1661. So I would advise them to go and look up the legislation that was drawn that created a distinction between the BLK people and the YT people, and stop insulting BLK people by kind of saying, get over it. We've been through what you've been through. We're doing all right for ourselves. Stop making an excuse about it, etc., etc., etc. There is no nation on the face of this earth that has been imposed with the level of barbarity that BLK people have. And this is why it is important for BOK people to educate themselves on our history, because when we look at the educational system, when we look at all these systems that they keep us dependent upon, they are not created to actually give us equality. They are created to oppress us, and they are created to misinform us about our history, so nonsensical idiots can come up and tell us that they've been through what we've been through, when in actuality, they haven't even been through a rice grain of what we've been through.
I did just block somebody who made this comment regarding, because every time the subject of enslavement comes up, white people in their ignorance actually don't know the history of slavery. I hate this because it sounds like a script that I'm reading from, because I have to repeat it so many times. White people, you keep saying that you ended slavery. Where? There are 50 million slaves today. 50 million, including in Russia and Ukraine. Okay? Slavery goes back to 3,500 BC, Mesopotamia, which you know as Iraq. There were 2,000 years of slavery in Korea. Okay, so it's still going on. You didn't end anything. What you think you ended was the transatlantic slave trade. That was the one you were heavily involved in, right? You were heavily involved in that one. It was started by the Portuguese, but you became the biggest trader of bodies and you made the most profit over the Portuguese. You had slave towns in Britain. Your cities were built upon the enslavement of Africans. You were doing that. So when you think you ended it, you didn't. And you know how many times government and parliament actually didn't want to end slavery? 11 times. It was 11 times it was actually rejected, guys. 11 times. There were some petitions. 1 minute, Ren, I'm talking, please. There were petitions done by British people because some of you did want to end it. But there was only 390,000 of you who actually signed these petitions, which was only like 0.1% of the population. So you didn't actually want to end slavery. The person or the people who actually did end slavery were the people who were uprising and freeing themselves. The Haitian Revolution, like I mentioned earlier. Black people were freeing themselves. They were unaliving their slave masters. They were then afraid. The slave masters were like, oh, we know we're going to be unalive. We're going to be unalived. Also, the slave trade was no longer profitable. So it's not the fact that you actually ended it out of the goodness of your heart, because you lot don't have hearts. You don't have them. And this is why I'm talking about Henry Novak today, because you're pretending to care about him and you don't care about him. You don't care about anyone, not even yourselves. And when you think you did a good thing by ending slavery, you didn't. The Dutch, the people from Denmark and Norway were the first country actually to stop the transatlantic slave trade. It was not Britain. It was not you lot. It was Denmark and Norway who actually said, guys, we need to end it. They did. Salam, bad fashion. This is Versace, darling. And this is Versace, and this is Versace, darling. If you think this is bad fashion, doesn't matter. I still paid good money for this shit. You could only dream. Let me continue. So in terms of them actually thinking we should end the slave trade, like I said, it was based out of revolution. And then what did they do? They replaced slavery. First of all, let me go back a little bit. When they were trying to say we're going to end slavery, what happened is they actually just replaced slavery, the enslavement of people, for the Industrial Revolution. And before then, where were they trying to free slaves? Only in the British Commonwealth. And what is the British Commonwealth? Everywhere where the British had enslaved people first, had stolen their shit, had raped them and alived them first. So you're still trying to take credit for all of the crap that you've done to millions of people around the world and say, do you know what, guys? We unalived you. We did all these terrible things, but now we're going to try to free you. Hopefully that erases everything that we did to you for hundreds of years. Are you all right with that? We're also not going to give you much land or much money back or anything like that. It's everybody fend for themselves. That's what you did. And then you were replacing it simultaneously with the Industrial Revolution, which you all tried to say is, we did the Industrial Revolution, but you were enslaving your own children into the system from the ages of 4 to 21. You enslaved your own children. You did not free any slaves. You enslaved your own children, who were then getting unalived by getting stuck in chimneys, that were having their heads crushed in machines, that were having their limbs, their arms, their legs cut off. You were doing that to your own children. What slavery do you think you ended? Hello? You were also enslaved too because you were so poor, because your taxes were so high. The government was taking so much money from you. You didn't have anything. You didn't have a what? A pot to piss in. This is where all your sayings come from. Dirt poor. You were poor. Guys, when you come here, you are going to be learning some lessons, right? You're not going to be able to repeat bullshit from your Facebook groups or your WhatsApp groups. You're going to actually learn some real history that's actually been read and verified in something called a book, which is something that you guys are quite unfamiliar with. Books and words. And you all talk about how much you love the English language, but you can't fucking read it and you can't fucking speak it either. You can't do it. Right, we're going to Yaya now. So that's a little bit of a diversion in terms of actually to do with the transatlantic slave trade and slavery in general, and of course the Industrial Revolution and how all these things interconnect. Yaya, how are you today, Yaya?
Hi, I'm good. You all right?
Yeah, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. When I first started this live, I was angry, but I'm getting better. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
I know I just asked you that, but go on. This is the topic today. White people don't care about Henry Novak. They're just begging to erase real racism. And at the same time, they're actually trying to experience and begging to experience racism, which they will never experience. So what do you have to add on this subject, please, Yaya?
I would say, Black people, I mean, we've got a different sort of history. We've got our own Black history. And we've been a victim of Jim Crow and all that, for example, in America. And for example, I saw a data in the UK, Black people are 9 times more likely to have a taser used on them by the police than a white man, and 7 times more likely to die as a result of police restraint. So Black people are 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with psychotic illness than their white counterparts, and 2 times more likely to be hospitalized. They often use mental health, legislations to detain Black people and keep them in, mental health facilities. So it is systemic. It is structural. And the issue of slavery, for example, you often see people saying it happened 500 years ago, so we should move on. But Malcolm X used to say, if you put a knife on my back and you remove it little bit, you haven't healed the wound. Even if you remove the entire knife, you haven't.
Yeah.
So you need to heal the wound. And that's why he used to say we need to deal with the issue of the root cause of the problem. Slavery. Slavery devastated Africa, for example. That's what paved the way for colonialism. Africa was very, very developed in the 13th century, 14th century, before this guy, Christopher Columbus.
Can I just go a bit forward, because the topic here is about Henry Novak. I don't think we need to go too much more into history. It was just a diversion really quickly because of them talking about slavery and stuff like that in the comment section. So we didn't need to talk about our people. This is literally about Henry Novak. This is about whiteness. This is about them actually experiencing real racism. We've talked about the statistics. We've talked about the facts around racism, why race and racism was created. Actually, white people, you created race and racism. Go and educate yourself outside of this. Right, because us here should not be actually teaching you for free. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be getting paid. In fact, you're actually supposed to be tipping now. So tip the screen, make sure you're tapping the screen, liking the live, making sure you're actually gifting me, because I work hard trying to talk, and actually doing what I'm doing is work. I'm actually hot right now. I'm actually hot. I need to put my fan on. So please, gift. Send some gifts for me. It's really important that you actually do that, because you know what? We don't make any money on here otherwise. The most I've made on here, I think, is like $12. Like, that's it, $12. Most time, it's like $1. So at least something, do something. Thank you. Just keep gifting. I really appreciate it. So yes, Yaya, can you talk a little bit more about Henry itself? Do you know anything about the case? Yaya?
Not yet. I haven't followed that case.
Okay. I'm going to move on to anti-racist mum now then. So just stick around, Yaya, so you know what we're talking about. Anti-racist mum, how are you today?
Hi, beautiful.
Hi, lovely. Hi.
I'm sorry, I've been typing whilst listening, so I haven't been modding. I'm so sorry. I will try, but I do have a meeting at 10 o'clock, which I'm trying to prepare for. I agree with the prompt, and I think it goes deep down to the fact that anyone that's still identifying as white or, brought into whiteness doesn't love themselves, so they can't love anyone else, because all the time that we are compliant as white people into the construct of whiteness, which has erased our identities, which has erased our traditions, our cultures, and our connection to each other, we can't love ourselves. So we can't, and we buy into that construct, and then we can never provide safer communities, because we are just complying with the axis of evil, but with the harm of the axis of evil, and therefore willfully ignorant. In fact, more than willfully ignorant, historically, scientifically, theologically, economically, emotionally and morally illiterate. And that is why we have to do the work to deconstruct our colonial conditioning, the amalgamation of national identities and ethnicities into this fakeness of whiteness, which does not serve any human besides the rot at the top, the deplorable predator parasites that are extracting and exploiting all of us. And then you get these little crybabies, because they are emotionally illiterate, that are unable to comprehend that their pathetic, fragile little feelings caused by ethnic dysphoria, caused by our lack of cultural identity, is somehow equal to oppression, and they want to manipulate and weaponize language and utilize some fake unicorn of reverse racism as if it exists. Reverse racism has never existed, due to the fact that we live in the axis of evil, in capitalism, patriarchy, white narcissism, which requires a hierarchy of humanity. And therefore, this delusion, psychosis that any one of us packaged in low melanin flesh is still upholding is actually a delusion.
So for those white people in the comment section, I always follow up with the following. Follow anti-racist mum. If you're here and arguing about this situation and trying to say that you're experiencing racism, or you didn't understand what anti-racist mum talks about, you need to follow her and actually join her courses. She actually can teach you, because we're not here to teach you about any of this stuff. You're begging to experience racism, which doesn't happen to you because of your fragile feelings, as anti-racist mum has said. You have too much fragility, you have too much ego, too much narcissism to actually understand the subjects. I saw somebody in the comment section, my other phone is broken, so I actually can't see what this person was trying to say. They're trying to say that they're disgusted with this topic, right? I can't find them, they're called L something. I'm trying to go back a little bit. Let me see if I can find it. Let me read this comment. I'm actually disgusted. What an abhorrent, deluded, sick-minded debate. So you're upset at the truth of the situation. I literally explained to you, and we've explained to you the situation, that you don't care about Henry Novak. You only care because it's a brown person who did the crime. If it was a white person, you wouldn't care. Yeah, it was Luna, thank you. You wouldn't care at all. You would not care, because white on white poker crime happens all the time. It happens all the time in the UK. You don't care about that. But you care now because you're like, right, we got one now. It's a brown guy. Yay, guys, we can call racism. We can call racism, guys. We can do it. That's what you're so desperate to do. And at the same time, like I said, some stupid idiot is now got on his knee, a one knee thing, like we did for Black Lives Matter, and is saying white lives matter. And I knew you were doing that before anyway, last time. In 2020, and now you're doing it again, but you're literally saying it's the same as what happened to George Floyd. While we are constantly trying to fight for Yves Sakila, who had the same situation happen to him in Dublin, in the Republic of Ireland. He was suppressed by 6 men. Somebody put their knee on his neck, a white guy on a black guy's neck. Another white guy forcing his head down. He was unalived in that way. These are not even police officers. These are security guards. These are white security guards that did this to him. They went above their station of professionalism and used their personal feelings in this situation towards a black man. That is racism. That is racism. That is racism. This happened in Dublin, outside Arnott's department store on the 15th of May. It is even more racist because there have been no arrests. This video has been shared hundreds of thousands of times online. We've seen the footage. We can see how the white men are treating the man on the floor. There is still no justice, no arrests. Nothing has actually happened so far. We have had the Congolese diplomat, I can't remember her name, she was there yesterday, being like, guys, what's going on? The Irish law has worked so far in the great racist systemic way, because who gets called? There's two departments, right? There is the Garda Síochána, I think it's called, and then there's the Ombudsman. The police officers, so the Garda police officers came to the scene. They saw the scene, they saw the guy there, they were like, okay, let's take some statements. And immediately, the police were investigated on how they handled the case. That never happens. Why are the police getting investigated before the perpetrators who unalived this guy get investigated? Excuse me. And also the coroner quickly said, it's inconclusive, guys. How he lost his life is inconclusive, even though we can all see the video of exactly what's happened. Lisa, you're racist. She says, look at the video and tell the truth. Really, all whites? No, Lisa. There was one black guy and one brown guy, but how were they towards him? How were they towards Yves Sakila on the floor? They were restraining him down here. Were they attacking his head? No, that was the white guy. Were they kneeling on his neck? No, that was the white guy. Lisa, you're racist. Your racism is showing. Well done. Right, we're going to go now to Maymay now. Maymay. And Ren, I'll come back to you. Just 1 minute, Diego. I'm going to go to Maymay, then Ren, and then back to you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Maymay. Maymay on the panel. Are you there? Maymay Leah? I've asked you to unmute. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't know I had to turn my mic on.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you for having me up here. Yeah, I think I'm drawing a blank on what I wanted to say now, but I think that racism for white tea people is sort of like generational and socialized in, and if you are a white tea person who doesn't want to be racist, you've got to put the work in and listen to what's being said around you, and not just like be reactionary about it. And it is on us, because racism is our fault. Like, especially me as a British person, a British white person. Like, we've got to stop. And I really do get annoyed, because I've seen it a few times pop through in the chat that people are like, oh, white lives matter. It's like, nobody's acting like white lives don't matter. That's why it needs to be said like that. Anyway, I don't want to talk over you all for too long, so that's right there.
That's okay. Thank you very much for saying that. Thank you very much. Right, we're going to go to Ria Raw, please. Ria Raw. Shall I ask you to unmute? Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, I feel like a lot of what I would contribute has now already been said, but I do just want to add just a little bit, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I can tell that some of the people that are acting a little defensively in their fragility are so close to getting the point and are just not there because they're letting their ego get in the way. I just want to highlight just a little bit on if someone can understand in conversations on sexism that saying men doesn't mean all men, or conversations about homophobia where saying straight people doesn't mean all straight people. You're only triggered by the use of the word white people if you are putting yourself in the position of the people who are acting that way. If you're not acting that way, it's not about you as a person. It's about a systemic oppressive group.
Yes.
And reading texts such as why I'm no longer talking to white people about race would be a fantastic start. You are going to feel uncomfortable. You are going to have to tackle things about yourself and what you've picked up through society in your life that you don't even know are there, in terms of microaggressions that you're going to have to challenge yourself on. But that is the only way that you're going to understand and be able to have intelligent conversations about this without feeling triggered.
Yes, sorry, I should have said that I was going, but I was literally going to get the book you were talking about. So this is the book that Ria has just mentioned. She's just mentioned this. I know it's backwards, but this is literally what Ria has just said to read, okay? Why am I no longer talking to white people? That says white people. It is kind of greyed out because it's meant to be about race. This is the book, okay? So like we say, stop coming to black people's spaces and saying that we're this and we're that. You literally just need to read or just listen, one of the two. But the problem is that your egos are out of control and you actually don't know how to understand or behave yourself in these spaces at all. You don't have the decorum or the patience or intelligence to do so. So you need to do all of these things outside. Battle Hamster, this is the second time, so I'm just going to highlight Battle Hamster real quick. Still race baiting for engagement, sad. This person has no knowledge because they've come here for 2 days in a row saying exactly the same thing. No new comments, no new ideas, nothing from Battle Hamster. So Battle Hamster can be blocked and spend their time elsewhere. Right, we've got Poetic on the panel, please. Poetic, how are you today? Poetic at the top? Oh, sorry, I keep missing Renman. Sorry, 1 minute. I've got Renman next. I keep missing because I keep going up. Renman, you got something you wanted to add first? Ren, I'm going to ask you to...
Yes,
yeah.
It just occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just occurred to me that it just really hit me because these white people said they experience racism. Like this, and they brought up Ireland and indentured servitude and the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland are unaliving each other, blah blah blah. This case from this BOK man was unalived in Dublin, Ireland. So if these Irish whitey people have experienced racism and they have experienced exactly what BOK people have gone through, we would probably expect that their police, who would be part of that, would know better than to restrain a black man that violently, and they would know better than to step on his neck and to hold his head down, because they would have experienced racism the same exact time as BOK people, and would realize maybe that's not good. Maybe we've been through the same thing they have, so maybe let's not do that. They would look at the George Floyd case and they would think to themselves, maybe doing the same thing that happened to George Floyd, stepping on someone's head and holding them down to that amount of violence. Maybe that's not the right thing to do because we've experienced racism just like them and we empathise with them.
Right.
So the fact that Irish whitey policemen, the same whitey Irish people that whitey English people are trying to say experience racism, were the ones who did this. It literally shows.
Shut up, you fucking daft bitch.
It shows they do.
Shut up.
It literally shows they do not experience racism. They do not experience racism like black people because they wouldn't have done it. Because they would empathise and they would understand because they too would have experienced their heads being held down by whitey police.
Exactly. It's the same. It's the same. Yeah, exactly. They would have empathy. And that's the thing for black people is that we do have empathy. If you experience something, best believe we would have gone through that a million times beforehand. So you're absolutely right, Ren. Diego's got some things he also wants to add as well. Diego.
Yeah, there's been a lot. There's been a lot that's been said. Firstly, I want to highlight that, as you said, and reiterate what you said, that the Taki rebellion which was one of the main driving forces and inspirations behind the Haitian Revolution, which then, was detrimental to the British economy, was one of the main contributing factors as to why they abolished slavery. They realized that these slaves had had enough. They were fighting back, so they revamped, and slavery has never ended. Let me just reiterate that. Slavery never ended, was never abolished. It has never ended. It still continues, not only in other places, but also in the UK. They just revamped it, redefined it, and made sure that it wasn't easy to run away from as it was to just run off of the plantation. That's the first thing. Secondly, when we're talking about individuals being what's the word I'm looking for? Restrained. You have to understand that these individuals are professionally trained in how to restrain people, and they know exactly where the pressure points are, and they know exactly how to make it seem as if they're attempting to restrain someone, when in actuality they're deliberately unaliving them and knowing exactly what they're doing. When you're placing the knee on somebody's neck and somebody's head, etc., they go through extensive training before they can even be qualified as a police officer or as a security officer or whatever. So they understand exactly what they're doing, and it is deliberate. It is not something that is accident. And if you go onto ITV, you will be able to find the racist documentary that took place that showed that police are still institutionally racist. There has been a variety of different reports that have come out since the beginning of time, since BLK people remigrated to the UK, whether that's the Scarman report, whether that's the McPherson report, whether that's the Lammy review, whatever it is, they have shown that they are institutionally racist for centuries, for thousands of years. Final point, and I'll land here, is that yes, when we talk about slavery, what people need to understand is that slavery was at a particular point in time an economic institution, because there wasn't things like prisons, there wasn't things like penal system. And often when we hear of slavery, we often equate it or believe that it's synonymous with the transatlantic slave trade, because often when we imagine things, it's always taken from the extreme end of the spectrum, right? But yeah, slavery was happening throughout the world. However, when we go and look at the transatlantic barbaric slave trade, there has, in fact, the other day it was actually voted the worst
yes, it was
humanitarian
by the UN
ever.
Yes.
Right. So we have to understand that it's not the same thing. There is a genetic blockage that YT people have to understand. It is something that is genetically embedded within their DNA. They don't have the ability to empathize. They don't have as a collective, they don't have the ability to show compassion. And what we see expressed is an internal hatred of themselves. They are jealous of your skin. They are jealous of your hair. They are jealous of your lips. They are jealous of your physique. They are jealous of your athleticism, your rhythm, your ability to dance on rhythm, and the frequency that you are able to elevate to, because we understand that we operate in vibrations and frequencies. They are jealous of your ability to outshine them in every possible manner. And that is why we see this expression of internal self-hatred. It is the fact that they actually adore you, because we know that envy is an admission of inferiority. And I'll land there.
Thank you so much, Diego. Thank you. This is actually, it's annoying for me, because my topics generally have been trying to be more about Black empowerment for the last few days, Diego. And it's all to do with things like that, like exactly what you said. It is literally all of our inherent things that live within us and finding that power again. But unfortunately, because white people are so freaking loud, I end up not talking about that. And I have to go back a little bit before we can go forward again. It's very frustrating. But there's something else that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, just to pick up a bit more clarity about the Yves Sakila case. Security guards in Ireland are only trained to hold by the arm. They're only trained to hold by the arm, or generally it is just let those people go. We know for a fact, like I said at the beginning, there are thousands of robberies that happen every day in the European world, including in the Republic of Ireland, where this incident happened. They should have let him go if he stole something. It is alleged. It has not even been proven. There's been no CCTV release, no nothing. They said he stole something, so today I'm going to pin him on the floor. 6 of them. You've never seen that before. Never, ever, ever seen that before. Never seen that before. Sound 1, I'm going to talk to you right now. You say a white guy's murdered and now it's more black victimhood. We were talking about Yves Sakila before you were talking about Henry Novak. Because do you even know when Henry Novak actually passed away? Do you even know? It was December 2025. Yves Sakila passed away 2 weeks ago. We've been talking about this, but you people come to our comment sections to talk about Henry because you're just so outraged about him right now. December 2025. That's when this happened. We have been talking about Yves Sakila for 2 weeks now, okay? 2 weeks. And he doesn't have any justice because nobody has been arrested for what happened to him. 6 men on top of him, the white men attacking him on his head and his neck, causing him to lose his life at the scene. Nobody has been arrested. This is why we talk about this. Sound One now says, I'm outraged by the white Ukrainian girl murdered by the BLK guy on the train. Yeah, guess what? So were we. But like I say up here, white people, you don't care about that Ukrainian girl. What's her name? Sound One, what's the Ukrainian girl's name? If you cared about her, what's her name? Say her name in the comment section, Sound One. Say her name. What is her name, Sound One? What is her name? You cared so much. You're outraged about it. What's her name? Because like I say, you don't care. You're just begging to erase real racism. Sound One, I'll get closer to the screen. What's her name? I'm so outraged. I'm disgusted. Why? See what he says. You tell me. Exactly, proving my point. Exactly proving my point. You are just desperate to erase real racism. The situation, what happened with the girl on the train, was not racism. It was not racism. Don't tell me what I don't know. Sound One, you don't know anything. Clearly, you don't even know the girl's name. Again, like we say, you just see people of different colours and you assume it's a racist incident. Nothing was said about that situation and it was not racist. Nothing came out to say it was racist. Nothing. Nothing. The guy was known to have, again, mental health issues. But you always weaponize this because you're so desperate to experience racism, and it's embarrassing. White people are so desperate to experience the thing that they created because they want to have an excuse for the fact that they suck at life. So you want to now experience racism because of all of the crap, the fact that you don't have any money, you don't have any freedom. Oh, it must be racism. The reason why we suck as people, it must be racism, right, guys? The thing that you've never actually experienced systemically, presently, or even with name callings or anything like that, like microaggressions, you don't even experience this. And you're so desperate to experience racism. It's embarrassing because like I've put on my page, you experience 0.00001% of even any type of prejudice on this planet. And already you're like, oh no, racism is the end. Oh, great replacement theory. Oh, we're getting erased by people. Oh. You're already getting melted by the sun. You've been unaliving yourself. The sun is trying to unalive you. I even talked about even in Australia, how the Europeans have everything on the land that are also trying to unalive them. In the sea, oh, the sharks, always unaliving the white people. The snakes, always unaliving the white people. Spider on the face, oh, another white person gone. Everything is trying to unalive you because you're not compatible with the earth. And now you're trying to say it's everything else, it's everybody else. No, it's you. Bring it back to yourself. You're not meant to be here with the rest of us because you tried to unalive us systematically for hundreds of years. You are a genetic mutation. You are an anomaly. You don't come from Africa. Stop saying this. We come from Africa. You're not the same. You and I are not the same. Us up here on the panel, we're not the same. We ain't the same. We will never be the same. Ever. So don't ever think that we're the same. We never will be. Okay, we've got LB next. LB, how are you? Hello, darling. You're a bit muffled, LB.
Really? I don't know. I think it's this phone. I might need to switch phones. Am I still muffled?
A little bit better. Yes, this is a little bit.
It's a little bit better. Okay. Well, this what annoys me. First of all, it's like they're like, oh, everything is always about race. Yes, you make everything about race. You take it into every industry, whether it's the medical industry, politics, eugenics, biology. Them wanting to preserve population control, preserve the white race. They take it into everywhere. It was the cause. Racism was the cause historically of what caused classism, and they always like to mix the two. And now the one creation they built, they want to step away from it and unclaim it and say they're a victim of something that is no longer working for them. Why is it crashing? Why is it no longer working for you? Because it consistently needs our participation. And once we step out of it and say, no, our labor is not for free, we are no longer doing it, all of a sudden they are victims of something they created to benefit them and help them in the first place. This is the issue. They're consistently going to move the goalposts of morality. They're consistently going to say, oh, well, he was stealing. Even if Mr. Sakila was stealing, so what? He didn't deserve to die. Even if he was a thief and he was caught red-handed with something in his hands, he didn't need 6 security guards on him. Okay, so now all of you have come to work. You've all piled yourself, 6 men have piled yourself on top of one person. So 6 people have left their post of station, have left where they're meant to be working, and they've left it unattended for more people in the shop to steal. Because you're all now focused on one person stealing in a whole shop, and there's not many other people are stealing. One person could have handled that situation. It didn't need 6 bullies.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
It's honestly ridiculous. It's so, that's the whole point. It is so disproportionate because where have you ever heard another 6 men on top of somebody else in the UK or in Republic of Ireland? Where have you heard 5 men? And even when you think about bouncers in nightclubs, it's normally about 2 or 3 bouncers to kick somebody out, and that's it. And they're never piling on top of somebody. They're never doing that. And it's a very key thing to mention that the security guards were actually from a private firm. They weren't associated with the store themselves. This is actually a contracted private security firm. So they had their own kind of rules about how they apprehend someone. At the same time, they were not supposed to apprehend, because how security guards are trained, like I said, is just to hold with the arm. They were excessive. I'm just going to bring up Irish man in the comment section. So, of course, as we mentioned, this incident...
I'm not a man, I'm a fucking female, you sap bitch. I'm Irish, I live in the UK, I've lived here 30 years. My kids are...
Irish man in the comment section. So, Irish Shaz 69, Irish Shaz 69, who I've just dropped on the panel, I was referring to Irish man in the comment section because there is actually somebody called an Irish man. So, Irish Shaz, you were very triggered by what we're talking about, clearly, and you could not control yourself. And as I was going to say, is the Irish are going to experience some karma, because Irish man says, I feel sorry for what's to come for you all. No, this is actually the test for the Irish. A lot of us who live on this platform, we've been seeing, and as Diego has mentioned, and I think Ren also mentioned, about how Irish people say that they were slaves, and they were not slaves. This is a conversation that they've been trying to have and saying that they experience racism. Okay? This is a conversation that we're having, and this is calling into question Irish people's relationship with racism and what they understand with racism and how they actually stick up for black people. They have hundreds of years of history in the Caribbean and what they were like in Jamaican culture with other black people. Right? This is the story. It is literally how you gain some of your culture back because the black people were defending you and standing up for you and making sure that you were not being discriminated against. Because you were facing a similar struggle, not the same struggle. Like we said, you then became the enslavers. You were then given land. You were then given opportunities. You had all of these things still way above black people. We experienced real racism. You experienced some kind of discrimination. That's what you experienced. Yes, you had the sign, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Yes, you had that. But you could still pretend not to be Irish. You could still pretend. We wear our skin. You can't get rid of this. You're an Irish person. You can pretend not to be Irish and you can still get property and you can still find somewhere to live. You can still get a job. You didn't have anywhere near the same level of discrimination as a black person or even a dog, because a dog can't change their skin either. What What are you going to do about a dog? You Irish people could be chameleons and you still had opportunities. So Irish man, you're talking about karma. It's coming to you. The test is for you. Are you actually going to uphold English supremacy, English narcissism, English psychopathy, English psychopathy? The words. Because this is very much a British issue, right? Irish people, you didn't experience the same thing, but a lot of you are actually now working for the British Empire, the people that actually did that shit to you. The oppressors, the oppressed sometimes become the oppressor. And this is exactly what you're doing, Irish man. You've put yourself out there, so the karma will come back to you unless you actually change your ways and change your mouth. Right, we've got Poetic now on the panel, please. Poetic. Are you there? I know I tried to bring you in earlier, but other people had to go before you. But Poetic, I've asked you to come. Yes, Poetic there. How are you?
I'm very well. It's good to see you. Before I start, anyone who wants to send any donations...
1 minute. Hold on. We can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me?
Keep talking. Go on.
Hello?
Go on. Keep talking.
Yeah, don't send any gifts. If anyone wants to give me, send the gifts to the host. She's working hard and she deserves it.
Thank you. You're still very bitty, but go on, carry on.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this subject, it's very triggering, isn't it? And it can stir up a lot of emotions in people, whether it be BLK or YT. And when you look at the whole situation, the reality is all of us have to dwell on this plane, all of us. And if we continue going at each other like this, it's not going to fare too well. When we talk about white people, do they care? The question is, why should they care? Why should they care?
Do you think they shouldn't care about Henry?
About things what affect you.
They shouldn't care about Henry?
No, I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying why should they? Because if some people don't actually understand something or it doesn't affect them, it's out of their sphere of reference. But because we as BLK people, it's in our sphere of reference, we're the ones who should care the most for what's affecting us. So when we look at what's going on globally, I'm going to take it to South Africa now. I'm not going to take it to Jamaica. Yeah? Both nations have faced colonial oppression.
Okay, I feel like you're going a bit too far away from what we're talking about. Like, we didn't need to go to those places, I don't feel. The issue is what's happened in Britain, right, in England. Henry Novak's crime actually happened in England. And Yves Sakila, we're talking about Republic of Ireland. We're talking about issues that happened in there, and then what white people are doing around that. So this is the topic we're actually talking about here. We don't need to go that far away in the world.
But the reality, what white people are doing around it, the reality is this, is that they are, the white man or the white man is going to have a different perspective on it because he's not facing the same prejudices and the same discriminations that we do. So he's going to see it from his perspective also. Just like we are going to see things from our perspective regardless.
Yeah.
So to be fighting at each other, what we need to do is educate each other.
No.
Rather than be fighting against
No. It's not black people's place to educate white people on the racism that they created. No way. No way. Yes, Diego.
You know, I think, and I've interacted with Poet many times, and I have a lot of respect for Poet. I just want to put that out there, yeah. But I think that there is this misconception that a lot of the time is kind of put out there that all of these or every racist person is not educated. So we constantly kind of perpetuate this kind of ideology that we need to educate. Brother, a lot of these people are very, 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 very educated. They are PhDs. They have masters. They are in very high places in society. Not every racist person is this uneducated, toothless pub goer. Do you understand? A lot of these individuals are very deliberately racist and are very academically qualified in how to suppress black people. When we look at individuals like J. Edgar Hoover, who was a 33-degree Mason, the longest serving FBI president or the highest FBI position that you can have. J. Edgar Hoover was his name. He imposed COINTELPRO. He literally created a whole system and said it was necessary to continuously create an evolutionary trap that would suppress BLK people, because there would always be a BLK messiah that would rise up out of these people. So I to a certain extent, I can understand what you're saying, poet, but we also have to not give people the grace of thinking that, because what we do, I'm gonna land here, and I don't want to take over your time. What we do when we do that is we kind of give them this loophole, this escape clause of, oh, well, I'm not educated enough, so that's why I called this person an M-word. Oh, I'm not educated enough, this is why I said go back to Africa, because I didn't know that. Bro, a lot of these individuals are very educated. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're saying, and they understand exactly the impact it has when they are racist.
Exactly, and I agree with you. And the reason why I took the direction I took is because the only reason why Edgar Hoover and all these other groups are able to actually have power over us, because if you look at all cases where any harm has come to any one of our movements, is because one of us has collaborated with the very group what's oppressing us. And until we get our house in order, anything we do is going to fall like a sandcastle, because these people who have oppressed us can't do it without us involved.
No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You literally have white people in the comment section saying we need to do the work. Poetic, white people are telling you we have to take accountability for ourselves. Poetic, no. You haven't really understood anything that Diego said, unfortunately. You haven't. And apparently you haven't understood. And you haven't understood me, and you're not understanding other white people. Poetic, you're on your own here. You're really on your own. You're not understanding the situation at all. You're not understanding the conversation. Stop infantilizing. LB, I'm stealing your words a little bit. LB said it in the comment section. You are literally treating white people like children, thinking that they don't have the ability to read or understand or educate themselves. Like, really, please stop doing that. It's not conductive. So I'm just going to drop you, Poetic, because there's a lot more learning that you've got to do. LB, I think you've got some issue, but please come back up, LB. We've now got Make the Impossible, etc. on the panel as well. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. Good. It was I'm very enthusiastic about the way how you speak.
Thank you.
Continue doing that.
And thank you for asking me to drink water and to hydrate in the comment section. Thank you.
Yeah, because I can see that you're hot, and when you're getting hot like that, I'm not saying they want us to get discombobulated, if that makes sense. Yeah. They don't want us to have this same powerful narrative being talked about. Yes. They don't want us to be talking in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like we need sisters, we need brothers, we need all of us to come together, regardless of their situation. We need to sort out ourselves for real. And we need more sisters like yourself speaking up the thing. Sorry, I might speak a little bit because I get like yourself. I'm a little bit not so informed with what the knowledge that you know. But what you know, we need more people to be informed of the way how you articulate yourself, the way how you're very calm, and you're very assertive, and carry on doing that. I'm telling you, you're amazing.
Thank you, brother.
Mrs. Foxy, you're amazing. I'll give you I've been listening to a lot of people on TikTok for a couple of months, yeah, but you're the one that I can say I can listen to.
Thank you.
Feel that I can educate myself. Like, there's a lot of people talking about rubbish narratives, and these people who are trying to bring us down, they don't know what they're all right as far as I'm concerned. We're not. We need to sort out ourselves, educate our brothers, educate our sisters, educate our little ones coming up, empower ourselves. Like, look, the weather's out now, the sun's out. We're not out in the sun. Melanated people, I should call ourselves now, because if we call ourselves black here, black is the word that the Caucasian people gave us, and they know that we're not educated if we use the word black. Because if you look in the English dictionary, what you designed, it does not mean a human being. So I would never say I'm black anymore. I would like to say I'm melanated. The melanin that I have in my skin, you're actually dying for that melanin. That's why you go to the sunbed. That's why you wax up yourself to look orange, if that makes sense?
Yes.
Our skin, you've never told us in the summer, now that it's summer, that our skin is amazing. And your skin, what you're glowing with, is amazing. They can't even have it. Do you know what I mean? Every black man needs I'm not saying every black man needs a black woman, but every black man needs to know, or every melanated person needs to know their blackness.
Yes, absolutely.
If that makes sense for the people around because our hair, our lips, they're buying it. You see, like the BBL bumps, like what's her name? What Sarah Bateman? Sarah Bateman's body was said in South Africa recently. That's the same thing that yous have been copying for many years. Our hair glows like the sun. It goes up towards the bushes of the trees. But you always been telling our hair is rubbish. Our nose is big because it helps us to breathe in sun. Your nose is straight because it helps you to breathe in cold. But you're not telling us about our nose. You know what I mean? So thank you for sharing your information. Keep yourself dehydrated and like just breathe. We're gonna do it, sister. I'm rooting for you. Yeah, that's what I like to say, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming up. And like I said earlier, I was planning on doing, and I am still planning on doing more Black Spaces. And I actually did one sort of yesterday. And it was about, are Black people ready to take the world back? That was the topic yesterday. Because we're definitely, of course, seeing the crumbling of white structures and white people generally, they're crashing out over everything. And when I actually was first planning on doing Black topics, more specific Black topics, the topic was the unalivement of Yves Sakila. So we're still going to have these struggles and we're still going to have these conversations. And so even when I'm talking about topics to do with white people, it is, of course, going to be bringing it back to Black people and the things that we're experiencing and ways that we're trying to unite and move forward. So I appreciate always, I call every single Black brother on here a brother to me, my sisters as well, my Black sisters are also here. And also those who are also kind of like part of the family a little bit as well. Like I say, we're all family, but of course my priority is making sure my Black brothers and sisters are also loved, respected, supported in all of these spaces. And I'll also hold you accountable at the same time. You guys know, if I have a brother or a sister coming up here, I say, you're not ready to join with the rest of us yet. You're not ready. So thank you so much. Okay, we've got now Water Goddess next. Water Goddess with your Congolese flag. How are you, my sister? That's my dog.
Good morning.
Hi.
I hope you're doing good.
Good.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm getting better. Now, in the beginning of this live, I was very angry, like the ancestors were here and I was having to calm myself down. I'm going to just have to sort my dog for a minute. And Diego, I know I haven't asked you to do this before, but you're on the piano, Diego. Can you do a little reset for the room and just tell people what to do, like, share, gift, etc.? I'm just going to do my dog.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing today is we're kind of highlighting the hypocrisy behind, whitey people and how they pretend that they have, care for injustice. They pretend that they have a care for people being unalived, but we only see this when it is a whitey person, when it is a whitey victim. We don't actually see this across the board. And that is the same throughout, whether it's the immigration, they have an issue with immigration, but they don't mind that they have BLK players playing for the football team, or they don't mind when it's Mo Farah that is winning them gold medals for the Olympics and etc. So essentially what we're doing here is we're highlighting the hypocrisy and we're highlighting the degeneracy of the common Caucasian whitey individual. So we're here to fight the fight, we're here to burn the fire. Like up the live, share up the live, share it to your neighbor, share it to your neighbor's neighbor, and we don't want people to come up here and tell us about their Black best mate, their Black girlfriend, their Black boyfriend, their colored TV, their 4 black tires on their car, or the black teeth that they have in their mouth. We're here to have an intellectual discussion, and we want people to be respectful when we're here. We will definitely get any type of coonery out of there as well. So just keep it intellectual, keep it respectful, and yeah.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you. Okay, Water Goddess, are you back? Water Goddess? Or should I move back to LB? Yes. Okay, I'll move to LB then, because LB was waiting beforehand and we'll give you some time there. So LB is back. LB, how are you?
She can go. It's good.
Yes, LB.
Hey, I'm good. I've kind of forgotten, but I was just, it was to query what the other guy was saying. I think it was poetic. I was talking earlier about, white people bring racism into every aspect of life, whether it's medical, political. So him saying or infantizing them and their task or their labor, what they need to do about it. It's a common thing that a lot of Black people do. I just wish he was as pressed about the effects of whitey supremacy more than telling us that we need to get our acts together. There is an effect of racism. Racism can cause you to not get your act together. It needs your involvement. that is also part of your own anti-blackness and internalized racism. Him separating them from their harm, separating them from something they've caused, and putting it on, oh, well, we need to pick ourselves up by our bootstrap. That's not what he said, but putting it on us that it's something that we need to fix, then he also doesn't understand the effects of it then.
Yeah.
He also doesn't understand the effects of it. I feel like that's infantizing them and that's separating them from their own mess. They need to create that. Sorry, they need to fix that. They created it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only way it can work. The only way, because we've already tried many, many times. We talk, we educate, we talk about our experiences, like every day. And especially on this app, we talk about racism every day. And they still want to be like, no, we need to come together. Shut the fuck. Like, it annoys me when people just say we need to come together, or this peace and love stuff. Like, I'm a hippie as well. I'm a hippie at heart. But I hate it where it's like, why can't we just all love each other? Why can't we all just get along? Shut the fuck up. It doesn't work like that. You have to read. You have to be active. You have to do something. Stop just talking. Do. Or listen. If you don't know how to do or you don't have to read, just listen. That's all you need to do. Thank you, LB.
It's disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it is
disingenuous.
absolutely disingenuous. Yeah. It's a lie. It's fake. And they're only saying that because they have no other actual real reaction to what racism is or how to deal with it. So they just go for some kind of like superficial response. It's for people who literally don't know how to process this topic. It's ridiculous. They might as well just say nothing, for God's sake. Because if they talk and say something, it pisses us off more. Well, it pisses me off even more. Just shut up. Just don't say anything. Okay, we got Wiz now on the panel. Wiz at the top there. Wiz, how are you?
Are you skipping me?
Oh, sorry. Water Goddess. Yeah, sorry. Let's go back to Water Goddess. Yeah, sorry about that, lovely. Yes, Water Goddess.
You invited me.
Yes. Sorry, God. That's what happens. Wait, let me tell you something about being a host, guys, on these panels. There's a reason why some of us are hosts and there's a reason why some of us are just in the comment section. To run a panel, to make sure it runs correctly, to make sure that everybody gets a turn and everybody gets heard, and then you're dealing with the comment section, there's a lot of shit going on at the same time. So sometimes we get missed on the panel. So please, anyone who also has come here, I even message other people and say, if I miss you, please put your hand up in the comment section because I will come back to you. Or just say, like Fox, miss me. I'll come back to you. No problem. So Water Goddess, we come back to you. Water Goddess.
Hello. I had to look up Henry Novak. I didn't know who that was. I did. And then I remembered.
You're a little bit quiet, darling. You're a little bit quiet. Can you be a bit louder?
Okay. So I learned about him last week on a different panel talking about race. It was an American Life on a British white woman using that as an example because one of the topics was why people don't experience racism. So she brought him up and I just looked it up. I was like, I don't know what makes you think that if you are being assaulted and what's the word I'm looking for? Chastised, right, by a white person, retaliation isn't racism. I can't be racist to you if I tried. In my wildest dreams, I cannot be racist to you if you are white. Hell. Anybody. I can't be racist to nobody, right? Because that's not how this system works. We cannot be racist. I also feel like this goes for everybody who is not white. Because even if you are Asian, you still cannot oppress a white person. You might look like them, you might pass a little bit, you still cannot. Nobody but them benefits from racism. You can be anti-black, you can be anti-indigenous, you can be whatever, but you cannot be racist if you are not white. If you are white, you cannot experience racism because that is not how that works. You just need to look that up. It's very simple. And I think when it comes to the conversations of white people trying to like understand and blah blah blah, they just don't want to take accountability. Right? You are taught that you are just neutral. Always. You're just a neutral. Everything you do is neutral. If you do something bad, it is you. You are never a part of an actual collective. You always get the privilege of being an individual. Right? So then when we make it broad and say, you know what, you guys are actually also a group, triggered. because we're taking away your individuality because that is your privilege. That is a part of white privilege.
Right.
I don't have that privilege.
Yes.
I know I sound American, but I am not. I was born and raised in the Netherlands, right? If you don't know about the Netherlands, until last year, we did blackface as a holiday every year, right? Afro wigs, fucking black fucking face, golden hoop earrings, red fucking lipstick, and then while you were wearing that in my face, trying to tell me that that's not me. That's not black people. We're not doing blackface.
It's the constant gaslighting. It's the constant deciding which dictionary definition applies to their experience. Like, it annoys me that they have to go to the dictionary definition of what racism is, because they only go to the first definition. They don't actually read the full definition. And if they actually look at which dictionary they're going to, the Merriam-Webster, and it actually does need to be put into all the dictionary definitions, when they give the examples of racism, it's always white people doing the racism. In every single example, it is white systems or white wars or white oppression or something like that. They are always used as the example. So if they're talking about this, I always tell them to go and read the Merriam-Webster one. But like exactly what Augustus has said, it's like, you don't have to tell black or brown people what racism is. We experienced it, we lived it, we were on the end, and it was created because you wanted to oppress black people. You needed to have a reason for why the transatlantic slave trade was going to come about. You needed an excuse for it. And so you created race and racism then. White people here, if you don't know that, that's what you did. Because the world was moving on and slavery was actually being abolished in many different lands and many different times, it was like, okay, white people, you needed an excuse. So you were like, okay, guys, what we can do is we can take the ideas of colorism, which kind of existed already in the world. We can take the examples of caste system, because you'd been in India for 200 years as well, around that time, like more, similar times, understanding different shaded people. So what we can do is we can actually elevate it and we can call it racism. And you had a lot of European philosophers who were actually already documenting. They were writing about the different types of melanated people and how they were going to then treat them. You were studying us. We didn't study you. We didn't give a shit about you people. You were studying us. And then they took advantage of us and created race and racism. And that's why we are where we are. So now you are claiming, white people, that you want to be oppressed by the same system that you created. It's a nonsense. It's stupidity. Is there any more points that you want to add, Water Goddess? Then I'm going to bring Diego back in for a little bit, then LB, and then back to Wiz.
How are we doing this? I was LB supposed to be me. I've patiently waited now. This is mad.
Yeah, 1 minute, Wiz, then.
I've
1 minute, Wiz. We'll bring you in after then. So Water Goddess, continue, and then I'll go to Wiz, and then everybody else.
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to say was addressing Yves Sakila. Rest in peace. I am Congolese. I don't just have the flag to be supportive. I am Congolese. What happened to him, if you look at it, is worse than what happened to George. More people, more bystanders, less actual jurisdiction to be doing any of that, even though that hold is illegal anyway.
Right.
You were just vigilantes. And also, these men get old as balls. I don't know why y'all aren't in a nursing home, but if this is the behavior of your grandpa, why would I expect you to not exhibit the same behavior? You just don't because you're scared.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
Exactly.
And then to the racists, please go build your own countries with your own resources and then come talking to me, because y'all can't do shit without us. That was it.
Thank you, Water Goddess. Exactly. Like, they always try to say, oh, we're obsessed with white people. No, we didn't give a shit about you. We didn't know about you. We don't know about any of your stuff that goes on. You push it in our faces. You came to our countries. You came to our lands. You literally pushed your languages upon us. You pushed everything about yourselves upon us. We've been trying to separate ourselves. For hundreds of years, we've been trying to separate ourselves. But yet you're still coming in. Who are you talking to, Lorenzo? You still live in white countries. Who does? I don't. I left you 4 years ago. I don't. 500,000 people leave the UK every year, by the way. 500,000 people. People are going back to their lands. You're stuck there on the island of misery, unfortunately. Okay, we've got Wiz next. Wiz.
Thank you. Greetings, everybody. Wise kings and queens, gods of old. Yeah, I love what you're doing. It's so impressive, refreshing, and just keep maintaining what you're doing. But I just ask you to do one thing: just keep smiling, because that's the one thing that they can never take from us is our inner happiness. Now, back to the point, like, you have to realize, yeah, that we've been born into a world where we were already conquered and didn't even know. So this is why it's so, you've got people that are from our tribe that are just agents to the system, because they don't even know that they've been conquered and
Can we talk about the topic, Wiz? Because the topic we're talking about here is actually about white people. It's about them not caring about Henry Novak and them begging to experience real racism. That's what we're actually discussing.
Yeah, I know, but because all I'm saying is that at the end of the day...
No, at the end of the day, this is the conversation, please. The end of the day, you've been sitting here listening. We're actually talking about racism. We're talking about white people. We've talked about systemic racism. We're talking about actually how they don't experience racism. That's the topic we're talking about here.
Yeah, and where does that stem from?
Where does what stem from?
The systemic racism.
White people.
Where does all of this stem from? It stems from...
White people.
Precisely, and it stems from them having an agenda that we didn't even know that
we're not talking about
executing.
That. Wiz, we're not talking about that.
No,
are you understanding what we're talking
totally,
about?
I understand what you're talking
about.
No,
you don't.
But because
Wiz, I'm sorry, I'm dropping you because you're not understanding that. You're really focused in on something else. That's not the topic. You've been sitting here for a very long time, and you even piped up and said, "Oh, you missed me," but you haven't even been listening to the conversation. You want to talk about something else that we're not talking about. You're talking about black people who have been upholding racism. We've not talked about that as a single thing. I've been on this live for 1 hour 50. We've not talked about raccoons. We've not talked about coons at all. We've not talked about coconuts at all. Like, at all. So you are in your mind thinking about something else. We're talking about this topic here. This is exactly what we're talking about. So white people don't care about Henry Novak. They're just begging to erase real racism. Wiz, you're asking to come up again, and there's no point because you're not grasping the conversation. So Diego's got some comments he also wants to make. If anybody else wants to make some closing comments, because we're going to wrap up the live very shortly. So Diego.
Yeah, I understood the point that a sister was making in the comments earlier, but I just want to kind of clarify when she said they don't like us in regards to the Mazungus, right? And the issue is with these unseasoned individuals, I would say it's absolutely the complete opposite. I would say they absolutely idolize us. They actually worship us, and they wish that they could replicate us and emulate us, which is why they are funding, billions into a perpetuating agenda to make us hate ourselves. So I actually believe that they, really wish they could beat us. And I also would like to say that there is a genetic kind of barrier and obstacle for them to ever take compassion, accountability, or be empathetic towards our struggle, because they'll never do it. And big up to Fox for highlighting the hypocrisy that has been shown just on this live alone from individuals who will come up, spew hatred. If there was really an intellectual rebuttal that they had, they should have been able to just come up and do it, but rather they chose the option of coming up to spew hatred, to show how much they hate themselves and project that internal hatred onto ourselves. And finally, I would like to say that the system that is being put in place to oppress BLK people is a representation of the capabilities and potential of BLK people. The trap itself is a representation of how powerful, how innovative, and how unique and extraterrestrial we actually are, which is why they have to, as J. Edgar Hoover said himself, not me, J. Edgar Hoover said himself, that there would always be a necessity to have a trap that evolves, because as soon as we figure out that trap, we're definitely going to get ourselves out of that trap, and they're going to have to think of a new one. Fox, big up yourself. Big up to everybody that contributed to the discussion. And yeah, I'll lock in on the next time. Love and respect every time.
Thank you so much, Diego. Thank you. Ria and Water Goddess, do you have any closing comments or anything like that you'd like to make Otherwise, I will wrap up.
Yeah, just very, very quickly. I know things got derailed quite often by people trying to compare things with Irish prejudice, etc. I'm just, as a Welsh person who has similar English history to the Irish, I just want to say with that no one is saying that's okay. It's just not the current conversation.
Yeah.
So, with all kinds of whataboutism, I think the best analogy I've ever heard is, yes, all houses are important, but the fire department are going to work on the one that's currently on fire.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Not
Ria.
the houses that aren't burning. But thank you for having me, lovely.
Thank you.
Great.
I think that's maybe the difference. If you've got Welsh background and it is a different type of history. My main platform here, I talk about the Anglo-Saxons and exactly what they did to Welsh people, Irish people, Scottish people. And so you don't really have the history or the energetic or ancestral tie to the history that actually pushed racism and oppression upon others. So that's why you find it a little bit less challenging.
And well, the words themselves, Wales and Welsh, literally mean foreigner and slave.
I know. I got
so
a Welsh person told me
there was a
this.
time where we were viewed that way.
So you are Cymraes. I need to say that. It's not Welsh. It is Cymraes. We're not going to say. Well, I'm not going to say that word anymore. So I've definitely been educated a lot by Cymraes people. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up now. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Ria. Thank you, Water Goddess. Thank you, everybody else who came up to panel. So these are the closing statements. Please do look up the case of Yves Sakila. He was unalived in broad daylight in Dublin, in front of people by 6 men. He was beaten in the head by white men. His killers have not been brought to justice. There have been no arrests. That is our George Floyd equivalent. As the person who came up earlier said, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name. I don't know if she's still here in the comment section. She has said it is worse, and she's American, right? Worse than George Floyd, which it was, because you had more people and more bystanders, and yet there is still no justice. The police officers came to the scene, saw that he was unalived. They took him to hospital, pronounced unalived. Anyway, it had to be officially pronounced by hospital. He was already unalived at the scene. Now, there is so much deflection because they're having to investigate the police officers at the scene. Anything to try to detract and not let us mobilize as people, because guess what? The Black Lives Matter protests were the biggest protests we had seen since the 90s. Everybody around the world was attending these protests. People were risking COVID to attend these protests. That is what they're actually afraid of right now, is if they make it another George Floyd, which is worse, the power goes back to Black people. But this is about highlighting that situation. But we are now seeing a white man currently, can't remember his name, Peter something, I can't remember exactly who he is, getting on his knee, doing the one knee, what we were doing for George Floyd and for Black people. This white man is saying we need to get on our one knee for Henry Novak because it's the same as what happened to George Floyd. That's exactly what he said. It's the same situation. No, it's not the same at all. Yves Sakila is the same situation. You already have all of this press and media attention around Henry Novak. It's been in the papers for quite some time. And remember, this situation happened in December last year. They are literally saying this is our George Floyd, trying to erase Yves Sakila's name. It's absolutely disgusting. And this is what we're saying, is they're begging to erase real racism, and they're begging to experience racism because the guy who unalived Henry Novak was a Sikh guy, which you never hear Sikh people involved in any such crimes. And he was unalived by using the kirpan, which is the ceremonial knife that they actually carry with them. And so they're now trying to turn it into a religious thing and seeing another brown man as being a problem because they already have a problem with people who practice Islam. They already have a problem with Muslims. And this is what white people do. They will take any kind of section of society and say that they're the problem, regardless of most people from those sections of society not doing anything. But the white man have literally harmed every country on this planet. The British in particular, 171 countries invaded, oppressed, raped, stole, murdered, did all unspeakable things to everybody. And yet we're all the problem. So white people don't care about Henry Novak. They're just begging to erase real racism. Don't be fooled by what they're doing. They don't care about Henry. Henry is receiving justice. His unaliver has already been put in prison. The police have also admitted that they did wrong, right? They've accepted this. They're accepting these things. That is justice. That's what justice looks like. Yves Sakila has not got his. We're not going to be talking anymore about Henry Novak. In my videos of Yves Sakila, in the comment section, everyone's, what about Henry? What about Henry? What about Henry? What about Henry? I'd never even heard of him until you started spamming our conversation and coming to us with this stuff. You wanted to whataboutery. You wanted us to erase Yves Sakila's name. You don't get to do that. No. So you don't care about Henry. You care about holding on to racism and rebranding racism. And you care because you want to experience racism, because you're feeling left out. And you want racism, real racism, to lose its power. It ain't going to lose its power. It ain't going anywhere. As long as white people are around, racism will always still be there. And this is what we're combating. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, mods, for finally coming by. You guys, at the beginning, it was so stressful. I was like having to mod and do other stuff. So thank you for coming by. CHB18, Rasta Pinky. Who else was here? And Diego, of course, I had to get Diego to be moderator as well. So yeah, thank you. No worries. Thank you so much. Could you be the one where the British flag says, you blame us all, but you're wrong? Please learn how to spell "your" correctly if you want to make a point, because you'll never get taken seriously by us if you actually can't spell your one language that you're fluent in. Right, goodbye everybody. See you later. Have a great weekend. Until next time, justice for Yves Sakila. Justice for Yves Sakila.